Good evening and welcome to Conversations with Crystal. I am your hostess, Crystal. Thank you for joining me this evening. I have one of the most fabulous blues players you will have ever heard. I absolutely love this man. When I first heard him playing, I thought, my goodness, that is just beautiful. He's a very underrated player, I believe, and I would love to see him more on the international stage. I know he's been to Memphis and for the blues competition, so that gives you a little hint about who I'm talking about. It's none other than PJ O'Brien, fantastic songwriter, guitar player, and all-round really, really nice person. Hi PJ, how are you going this evening?
I'm very well, and you?
I'm very, very well, thank you. How's your day been?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Just settled in for the evening.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how was yours today?
Yeah, really busy like it always is.
Yeah.
Had to take a mixing desk to get repaired because that kind of decided to blow up first set of the band gig last week.
Right.
So.
They have a tendency to do that when they're going to go.
Yeah, not fun, is it?
No,
not fun.
that's a horrible feeling.
It is. Now, PJ, you're a great songwriter. I love your songs, and one of my favourite is Cold Like the North Pole. And I know you have many, many others, but that's one that I absolutely love.
Yeah, that seems to be a popular one.
Yeah. So where did you get the inspiration for that one?
I can't think. Going back a few years now. I can't think. It's a pretty it's kind of a standard main riff. That sort of particular guitar riff features quite a bit in sort of a standard riff in blues. But I've always tried to sort of make the songs a little different by putting in a chorus and a bridge, those sort of poppier elements into my blues. Mm-hmm. So the inspiration for it, I've completely forgotten now, but that was the aim, was to make something that was bluesy, but slightly a bit more a broader appeal, I guess, for the actual song structure.
Yeah, and do you find that's hard to do? Or is this something is it something you've got to work on a lot, or is it just kind of come naturally to have that format?
I've kind of got a bit of a format now. Like the songs, each one is kind of different, I hope. But
yeah, they are. Yeah.
I sort of have that approach where I'll get the main part of the song, the meat of the song, and then I'll think, maybe two verses and then a chorus, or two verses and then a link to the chorus, a bridge.
Yep.
And then a solo, and then maybe come back out into a bridge again. So I had that sort of idea when I'm writing. So I'll come up with the main idea and then think, okay, how can I structure this like a proper song?
Yeah.
So sometimes they flow and sometimes they require a bit more work depending on, how I'm feeling at the time.
Yeah. How many songs do you reckon you've written?
I'm not sure. There's a lot of half-finished ones, that's for sure. But
I know that feeling.
Yeah. I don't know, probably 40 to 50 finished ones, which kind of doesn't sound like much now that I'm saying it. But lots of kind of half-finished ideas, and I sort of leave them half-finished until I feel like, I kind of revisit them and think, that one's got promise, I'll put it aside. And then when it's time to actually record something, that's when I sort of go digging them out and seeing if I can finish them.
Yeah. Are you somebody that kind of gets an idea? You might be, on the train or going for a walk and you get an idea and you write that idea down. You don't might use it just then, but you've got like a whole drawer full of ideas.
Yeah. Sometimes there's things, I'll just pick up the guitar and I'll go back to noodling around on something that sort of caught my attention and won't go away, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I think if I'm doing that, then there's something to that. I can sort of revisit that and try and make a song of it. But I sort of struggle a bit with the lyrics. That doesn't come to me as easy as the actual music. So yeah, it's sort of, that's the hardest part for me, I think.
Right, right. Now you said about 50 songs. PJ, that is no mean feat. That is a mean feat, I should say. Like 50 songs, that's about 5 albums, right?
Well, I've recorded 3 albums of original music. In a previous band, we did one CD, which was original stuff, and there's stuff that hasn't been recorded. So, yeah, it's about that number, I think. They're
Yeah.
not all good, I have to say. But, there's plenty of rubbish in
But
there.
oh no, look, I don't believe that for a second. We've got 2 of your albums and we love to play them on road trips, right?
Oh, good.
And yeah, and I just love your work. Love your work. And you know what gets me about you is, and I wasn't joking in the beginning when I said, you know, you're one of the most fabulous players. We come and seen you at a gig and all guitarists have a pedal board, right?
Yeah,
Now, I've been dying to say this to you for some time. Most guitarists have a pedal board.
yeah.
Not you.
It was a little one.
I just kind of seen 3 or 4 pedals or whatever it was
Yeah.
at your feet, and your chords were kind of not straight. They were like tangled a little bit, and I said to my husband, Rob, I said, do you think PJ would mind if I went and straightened his leads?
Yeah, it just falls out of the case and
Yeah,
unfurls
and that's
itself.
where they stay. I
Yeah,
guess the main thing is, are you very conscious at all of not tripping on the leads?
it's happened a few times. In fact, it happened the other night, and I just killed the guitar midway through the song, and I couldn't find out what had actually knocked out while I
Oh
was playing. So
no.
I, for the first time ever, had to call an end to the song in the middle of it, which was, yeah, you'd know, it's not something you want to do.
No, did you find it kind of goes on par with your mixer blown up, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it's one of those things. But
So did you find out what the problem was, most importantly?
yeah, it was kind of dark, and eventually I found a lead that should have been plugged in. But yeah,
So you
so
just kind of pulled it out, yeah.
so that's why I keep things to a minimum. I think the less there is to go wrong, the better for me, I think.
You know what? You're right. You're absolutely right. So, PJ, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about your guitars and
Yep.
why you've chosen certain guitars and amplifiers and why you use those. So,
Well, I've always used Stratocasters, Fender Strats, and I think that's probably just because I loved, when I started, I loved Clapton and Hendrix and Stevie Ray Vaughan, and so I just that's kind of, I wanted to play what they played.
mm-hmm.
And amplifiers, I started with Fender as well, but I've tried heaps of different amps over the years, but mainly my sound is it's a clean sound, and I just add, I beef it up a bit with a couple of pedals.
Mm-hmm.
So you can kind of get my sound from any valve amp that has a good clean sound. And it's just a stratty kind of sound. So there's nothing, I guess it's pretty unadorned as far as guitar sounds go. Yeah, that just seems to suit me, really. I sort of, and talking about the pedals, I've tried lots of different things, and it just doesn't kind of suit my style, I don't think.
No, I would totally agree with you there. I think the clean sound that you have does your voice, it complements your voice and your songs.
Yeah, and I don't have the strongest voice. It's kind of a middly sort of sounding thing. It's not like a natural big loud singing voice. So I think if I had a big rocky sound, I would be struggling to get over the top of that vocally.
You're right.
So I think, and we don't play too loud either. I think that's kind of that sort of suits the guitar sound as well. I just like to keep it simple, really.
Yeah. And the loudness, it suits the venues too.
Yeah.
You don't want to be told to turn down.
I get told to turn up quite often, which is quite bizarre.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm always conscious of not wanting to, blow people's heads off in a small bar or anything, because I think there's nothing worse than when you see people sort of leaning in trying to talk to each other and they can't hear each other, and So yeah, I just try to keep it down a bit to a dull roar.
Yeah. Well, I think it how you play is very much like how you are. You know, you're not someone who's big and blustery. You're just this nice, gentle, kind fella that is very, very approachable, and I think it kind of shows in your music as well.
Oh, well, that's nice. Nice to hear.
You know, yeah, yeah. So now, who or what was your earliest musical influence or
Um,
inspiration?
well, I think like before I actually started playing, I loved first big love was 50s rock and roll. So I
Yep.
loved Chuck Berry and Little Richard. So they got me really excited about music. And plus my folks were really into music and they played, hits from the day. So there was always music playing. So I was kind of into it. But yeah, it was rock and roll, which I got really right into. And then once you start reading about it, you start reading about the influences of those guys, and you pretty soon you're into the blues.
100%.
Mm. And so around that time, my sister had a really great record collection, and she had some BB King, and she was the one who first played me Stevie Ray Vaughan, and so and then it was like, well, I have to get a guitar now. This is
You
what has
have
to
to.
happen.
Yep. This is it.
Yeah, and so we had an old sort of Spanish guitar around the house, which it just kind of sat in the corner. It just looked good. No one actually touched it, but and so I tried playing that, but I had no kind of, this is before YouTube. You couldn't really, unless you had a guitar teacher, it was impossible to work out how to play it. It was out of tune. Um, and around that time, I'd left school. I think I got my first job, and my boss was a guitar player. And
Fate.
yeah, he sold me a like a sort of Strat copy, and showed me my first lick, and that was it. Like once I learnt that lick, I was away.
Yeah, yeah. I can imagine.
And in fact, I remember walking home after he showed me, and I couldn't stop playing because I thought I would forget how to do it. And I bumped into another guy from school. I was like, "Watch this!" He just kept playing that one lick over. He was like,
Yeah.
"Is there anything else?" I was like, no, it's just that. But
But for you, it was that defining moment, because,
yeah,
and very, as I said, very fated, because how funny is it that you go to a job and he's a guitar, your boss is a guitar teacher. I mean, which is what you wanted to do. It's like the universe set that up for you, I reckon, PJ.
yeah. And he sends me a message every now and then. He's still mad blues nut and still
Yep.
rapt that he gave me my first guitar. So
Yeah.
and
Do you?
I was going to say it was funny. I didn't even know how to change the strings. I had to take my guitar to him to get him to change the string on. It was like, I can show you how to do this.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I was very green, and from there there was a Tuesday night jam session at the Perth Blues Club, which is still going every Tuesday night since 1991, I think.
Oh goodness. Yeah.
And I just jumped up at the jam doing that one lick, and that's where it started.
Yeah. And did you just say Perth? Did you?
Mm,
Oh, I didn't realise you were from Perth.
yeah.
Okay. So what made you transverse the Nullarbor and come to Sydney?
Well, Perth was kind of wasn't too much happening, and it was if you wanted to play music for a living, you had to go to Melbourne or Sydney, and Sydney it was, and that was in '97 when I first came, and it was incredible. You could play 3-4 nights a week, and everybody was saying, "Oh no, you should have seen it, a couple of years ago." But coming from Perth, it was just amazing.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. So you got your first start at a jam night?
Yeah,
And was it a blues jam night or just
yeah, it was
all genres?
the Perth Blues Club set up. It began as a jam, and so it was sort of some of the older guys from around Perth, Rick Steele and Bob Patient, the keyboard player, had formed this sort of house band and put this jam on. And it was every Tuesday night. I just lived for that Tuesday night.
I bet. And did you find that watching other musicians, other guitar players, you just kind of really, really honed in and watched what they were doing and then went home and copied that? Would you say that that's what happened?
Definitely. And, you sort of didn't nobody was particularly, no one was really showing you exactly what they were doing. It wasn't like you just had to keep your ears open and watch and then race home and try and do it. But there were some great guitar players. I mean, Perth still has a really fantastic music scene.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those older guys had come from Sydney and Melbourne, and there were quite a few from New Zealand as well, and they'd sort of stopped in Perth on their way somewhere else and ended up staying there. So it was this hotbed of kind of musical talent. So it was pretty exciting stuff when I was starting out to watch those guys. Dave Hole as well was another one.
Yeah. So were your mum or dad musical? Did they, I know that you said they played a lot of music, but did they like play instruments or sing?
We didn't think so until years later, when I was not too long ago, my auntie sent me a picture of my dad who was in a vocal group in the 60s, and he'd never told us that. It was like something he didn't want to share. And then there was this photo of him standing there with his mic singing. I was like, oh my God. He was always my biggest supporter, would always come to every gig, and so he absolutely loved it, and now I can see why.
Oh, how good. He must have been so proud of you, PJ.
Yeah, but I wish he'd told me that earlier.
Yeah. Because you could have got a lot of, it's a common thing between you, you know. But anyway, it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how would you say, from that early point of going to the blues jams, did you then have any lessons or think, how do I get into this more? Because I don't think YouTube was around then, or if it was, it wasn't as much as what it is now.
No, it was old school. You had to find a good teacher, but yeah, from the jam, there was a band called the Mighty Mudcats blues band who asked if I wanted to join, and so I went to a rehearsal, and it became apparent within about 30 seconds that I had no musical knowledge at all. Like, I didn't know what key was what, and didn't know any chords.
Right.
So
interesting.
The guitar player who left that band was also a guitar teacher, so they sent me to him to get some musical knowledge. So I didn't learn to read or write music, but I just learned some chords, and particularly for blues, ninth chords and 5 chords and just a few blues things to get me going.
Mm-hmm.
And so that sort of started the ball rolling.
Yeah, I find it's music and guitar playing and blues even, it's such a journey because it's so deep.
Yeah.
And I think people don't realise actually how deep it is, and it's not just one thing. It's so much more than that.
Yeah, and if you're into the music, you realise that there's so many different branches to the blues tree, style-wise, and it's still keeps me interested. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm always finding and discovering new artists, new old artists, I should say.
Yeah.
And it's just like you look at them. I mean, Stevie Ray Vaughan, oh my God.
Yeah.
You just look at him and think, where did he come from? Because it wasn't Earth. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
where did he come from?
That's, one of those overnight successes, 20 years in the making sort of thing. but yeah, he was a huge influence, and I think it's just that passion, seeing anyone who's an expert in their field, it's their passion that you recognise as much as their skill for whatever they're doing, and realise that the greats in any field just hone their skill non-stop. It's that 10,000 flying hours, whatever they talk about.
Yeah.
It's doing the same thing over and over again until you've perfected it.
That's right. Now, would you say you do that? Do you
No,
have
definitely
guitar?
not.
Do you have guitars laying around the house in different rooms and sit? Do you play a lot? Do you practice a lot?
Not now. I did when I was younger, but I've gotten. It's terrible, but I don't play nearly enough, really. And it's one of those things you definitely have to keep sharp at. But if there's a gig coming up in the week or weeks leading up to it, I start to get the guitar out more and more, and so I'm not just rolling in cold for something.
Yeah, yep, of course, no. And do you ever find that you're doing one of your original songs and all of a sudden it seems to be morphing into something else and you find a new song from it?
I don't know. I always try to stick to the format, the recorded format of the song. There's some that sort of lend themselves to, sort of jamming a bit. But if it's something that's structured, I sort of stick pretty close to it because it's sort of, you can sort of, get bogged down a little bit. But I definitely get ideas from things. But I think, and it's interesting when if it's Al Britton playing bass, it's got one particular way of sounding, and then if someone else is filling in, everyone brings their little thing to it. So
that's right. Oh, Al is one of those stalwarts, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, you can't go past Al Britton on bass.
No, he's got such an original style, and he's got such an authoritative style as well. It's like, he holds the time and it doesn't move. It's like he's a true bass player.
Yeah, he is that, and a hell of a nice guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
So now I want to go back to that first band that you tried out for. Did you end up playing with them after some lessons and stuff?
Yeah, and so it's funny, they were kind of, I play with a band here sometimes called Tomcat Playground, and they're a sort of straight ahead blues band, class, sort of Chicago blues and swing stuff, and that was what that first band was like. They were doing similar stuff. And it was kind of too straight ahead for me at the time. I kind of wanted, because I was into SRV and Hendrix, and I wanted to rock out.
Yep.
And I always think, if only I could join that band now, that first band again. But yeah, they're still around, that band, playing now. And I don't know if you know Dave Brewer, the guitar player from the Mighty Reapers.
Yep.
He's their guitar player now.
Okay, cool. Right. So from that band, did you go into any other bands, or how have you filled the time out between then and now being your own singer, songwriter, recording artist?
From there, I joined a band called Barefootin', which was doing the sort of rockier stuff, and that was kind of a better fit. And then from that band, the bass player and I started writing original stuff.
Yep.
And then I kind of had to start singing because we just wanted to play originals, and if you want to do that, you kind of got to do it yourself.
Yes.
And so that was we started a trio, and that's how it ended up becoming my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it was hard to start with the singing and playing at the same time, and not being very comfortable being the front man.
Yeah. You are, PJ, one of the most humblest people I've ever met.
Oh.
Truly.
I'll stick around. I'll I'll warm up.
No, you are really. I've always said that about you, that you're one of the most humblest men I've ever seen. So, and I think that goes a long way, but you shine, you absolutely shine when you're singing and playing, and especially singing and playing one of your original songs.
Oh, well, that's nice to hear.
Yeah, oh, good. Now, do you ever play other genres of music just for fun, just to have a jam out?
Yeah, I'm kind of sort of limited, I guess, a little bit in my playing. Like I don't know much else apart from blues sort of and rootsy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I certainly love a lot of different genres, and I'm quite partial to a bit of rock.
Yeah. Oh, I did not know that about you, PJ.
Yeah. So sometimes I like to rock out a little bit on stage. I'll crank up that distortion pedal a little bit.
Well, I would like to come and see you do that, that's for sure. So, yeah, it's very interesting that you don't have really a lot of time for mainstream commercial music would be the word, I guess.
Well, I like, I don't know, I kind of do like a lot of top 40 stuff.
To play, I meant, sorry. I meant. Yes.
Yeah, I just kind of do the original thing, and I guess that's what I've been doing for a while, so I just keep doing it, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I want you to continue doing it and bringing some more albums out, that's sure.
That's the plan.
Yeah. Now, while we're talking about your writing and your music, I have a track here called Cash.
Yep.
Would you like to tell the listeners a little bit about how that song come about?
Well, on the most recent album, High Cost, came out about a year ago now, but I needed one last song for the album, and I wanted it to be like a Thunderbirds type rock and roll tune.
Mm-hmm.
And it was sort of a half-finished idea that we just finished up quickly in the studio just to get that extra track, and it's turned out to be the one that was least thought about and people liked the most.
That quite often happens.
But it's a tongue-in-cheek story of economic hardship.
Mm-hmm.
My wife's asked me to add that in.
Did she?
Yeah. She's not the GFC referred to in the song. But,
yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of that love of 50s rock and roll that one came from. And
yeah, that's what I thought, yeah.
Danny Sun, the piano player, who plays with me quite a bit, he's the true star of that song, I think. I think it's his piano that everyone loves so much in that track.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a huge Johnny Johnson fan. Chuck Berry's piano player, and you can really hear that in that track.
Perfect. All right then. Well, I think what we'll do now is have a listen to Cash.
Cash, cold hard money, anything will do. I got a woman with expensive taste. She stuck to me like glue. Well, I'm in trouble, can't you see? She's a one-woman GFC. I need cash. Can you lend me $1 or two? Just shopping on eBay all of the week. I can't sleep without my wallet in reach. Working 2 jobs, I'm a nervous wreck. She's out on the town, writing them checks. I need cash, cold hard money, anything will do. I got a woman with expensive taste. She stuck to me like glue. Well, I'm in trouble, can't you see? She's the one-woman GFC. I need cash. Can you lend me $1 or two?
What a fabulous track. And of course, you can hear those keyboards in there. And of course, PJ playing guitar as well. How fantastic a song is that? Really well done.
Yeah, I just like to, I like the up-tempo stuff.
Oh, yes, up-tempo things are really, really fun to play and to listen to as well. But I have a place for the slow blues. I love a slow blues.
Yeah, love to, always loved a slow blues, and partial to a good ballad as well.
That's right, and it is expression, isn't it? You know, and that's what I like about blues as well, is that you can tell where the person is in their life by how they talk in the song, how they talk as in how they're playing, you know, and it's just like, oh, they must be having a hard trot, or, oh, gee, they're going really well and this is really coming, you know, out strong. Do you ever feel as though you've done a little solo, you know, when you're jamming or practicing ever, and you can never repeat it?
Well, a bit of both, really, depending on the song. Like if it's one of mine, there's some things where I just kind of play the original solo with a couple of little changes, just because I don't want to get kind of lost in it. But if it's a straight up kind of blues thing, it's about improvising, really. And there's kind of stock phrases and licks that everyone uses, and you just kind of, you know, it's like a jigsaw. You just move the pieces around and work out what fits where, and yeah, that's what I kind of like about it. You can sort of say what you want. Yeah, sometimes you have really good nights, and you think that's about as good as you can do it, and but it doesn't get a reaction. And other times you just sort of, you know, treading water or just kind of doing something you've done before, and it might get a really good response. So I think often it's just in your own head how it's going over, and but yeah, I haven't really kind of limited, I guess, by what I know, so I can't like improvise madly and come up with something completely different, but I can definitely feel it more on some nights, that's for sure. So that's the great thing about blues, is it's the vibe you kind of can bring, I guess.
Absolutely.
That's what that music is all about, I guess, the vibe.
It absolutely is. Now, PJ, I know you play a mean guitar. Do you play any other instruments?
No, the Fool quite often, but no, it's just guitar, for better or worse.
Right. Have you ever been interested in learning something different, or?
Well, I love piano, and we do have a piano here, so I kind of like to sit at that and just noodle around. Mm-hmm. And my daughter's got an electronic drum kit here, so I like to get on that and thrash around on that.
And how old is she to be playing drums?
Well, she's 10, and she's got an older sister who's 13, and so both of them are really into music.
Fantastic.
But no one's doing any kind of lessons or anything, but we just sort of leave the stuff turned on and around in the hope that, you know, they'll get the spark. And
well, now, how good would that be if you've got one daughter playing the drums and the other one picked up the bass guitar? Man, you've got a band.
Yeah.
How good would that be? I think you need to buy the other girl a bass guitar.
Yeah, it's been talked about, actually.
Oh, good stuff. I think that would work.
There's savings to be had.
Definitely. Definitely. That's fantastic. All right, now, so I spoke a little bit in your intro about going to Memphis for the Blues Challenge. Is that what it's called, the Blues Challenge?
Yeah, International Blues Challenge, yeah.
Yeah. So now we were talking earlier, and you mentioned that you actually went in 2005 or 2006. How did that come about, and how did you feel doing that?
Well, the Sydney Blues Society runs the competition every year, and then the International Blues Foundation runs the challenge every February, and then each blues societies from all over the world send their act. So yeah, I couldn't believe I got through that first time, and so I didn't even have a band. So I put a band together for the competition, and so the first time was good, but I was so kind of terrified of the competition itself. I just kind of freaked myself out and didn't have a very good time.
Oh no, that's sad to hear.
Yeah. So, and then 10 years later, I thought I'll enter again, and mainly because I just really wanted to go to see America again.
You're right. Yeah.
And I thought, well, this is a way to kind of do it and have a play at the same time, and because I wasn't really motivated by the comp itself, and I was kind of older, and I ended up having a great time because I wasn't caring about the competition side of it.
You're right.
And I got through to the semi-finals, which was amazing, and I just had an absolute ball playing in front of those crowds.
That's fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah. And so that was a really good experience, and I was glad I was able to do it twice, and to go back and do it again.
Now, when you went over there for the competition, did you also have a little holiday while you were there? A little bit of sightseeing?
Yeah, we did a gig once the comp was over. We went down to Clarksdale in Mississippi, which is
nice.
just over the border from Tennessee.
Yep.
And we played a show there. And so we got to have a good look around Clarksdale, which is like, so many great blues musicians have lived, worked or been born in Clarksdale. So it's like kind of blues mecca. So that was just incredible to wander around the town and just soak all that up. And I actually went back to Clarksdale in 2019 with Tomcat, and we did some shows over there.
Oh, that's great. Great.
Yeah, so I've been over there a couple of times. And it's just, it's amazing when you're down south there and you're driving around. Every sign you see for a town, you've heard of that town in a blues song somewhere. So just the history and, talking about the vibe, that place is just, really blues central.
Yeah, that's for sure. How fantastic is that? So the last time you were there was 2017 for the Blues Challenge competition.
Yeah, and then 2019 with Tomcat.
Tomcat, yeah. Have you got any plans to go back?
I'd love to go again. I'd also love to get over to Europe as well. There's such a great blues market over there.
Yeah.
And in fact, a lot of the American players spend all summer over in Europe touring around.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's just so everything's so close. All the countries are so close, and there's a huge outdoor festival scene. Seems like that's a really big place to be.
Yeah. Well, I wish you all the best in going there, that's for sure. I'm sure you'll have a fabulous time. Now, what about festivals in Australia? I know because we've seen you down at Goulburn Blues Festival.
Yeah. There's certainly there's a few good blues festivals around it. And I think the last one we did was Cronulla Jazz and Blues Festival.
Yep.
And we did Giracool earlier in the year. So I haven't got any, I'm not booked for any coming up, but hopefully I can get on another one. There's so many great bands out there all vying for the same gigs and festivals.
Well, that's true, isn't it? It becomes a bit of a meat market, so to speak.
There's no, no dearth of talent, that's for sure.
No, and how lucky are we that we do have so much blues talent in Australia? I think it's certainly got my ear and my heart, I'll tell you, that's for sure. Yeah, definitely. So the current band you have, what is that called? With Al Britton
Yeah, that's just under my own name. So it's just called the PJ O'Brien Band.
Yep.
And so it's, myself, Al, and Dave Fester or Chris Nabel on the drums.
Mm-hmm.
And if the money's there, we always add the keys, which is Danny's son.
Yep.
So yeah, 4-piece if we can swing it. Otherwise, it's a trio.
Yeah. And what's your favourite places to play? A little pub or something bigger or?
I like the little pubs, I think, mainly just because I find festivals, you can sort of get a bit lost up on the big stage.
Yeah.
And also there's sort of a lot of variables with a festival. You're not really sure how it's going to sound until you start playing. You don't really get a sound check.
Oh.
You just kind of, we get up there and you sort of check your file back. That's about it. And there, you might play for 45 or an hour. So by the time you're getting warmed up, I find it's time to come off. So I like a pub with a bit more of a relaxed vibe.
Oh, definitely, definitely. And I've always said that too. Everybody knows that about me. You want me to come up and sing? Oh, I don't want to get off.
Yeah.
I'll just stay up there. And I'm so lucky that I get to do that. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So what's coming up for you, PJ? You've got another album on the boil or some more music being written?
Yeah, I'm working on some new songs.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's probably not until I actually set a date to record that I'll then panic and actually finish songs.
Panic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's usually only with a deadline that I'm, prompted into action.
Yep.
And then it's I'm going to try and get over to WA for a little tour next year.
Fantastic.
And,
awesome.
hopefully keep working on that Europe thing. And in the meantime, just keep trying to get better at what I do and keep enjoying myself.
Yeah, that's good. That's the main thing, isn't it? That you enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that you can see some improvement also, because that's what you want to do as a player and as a vocalist, is you want to be able to improve. There's no good staying the same. And I think too, what I've noticed with your music is the albums that we have is I can see how you've grown as well.
Yeah, I think it definitely hopefully gets a little better as they go along. And you just become a bit more, the shoe fits a little better as you get older, I guess.
The shoe leather gets a bit softer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like a well-worn tennis shoe. Now I'm getting older, but it's comfy.
Yes. Now, on your albums, there's a lady doing backups in some of them.
Yes.
Would that be your wife?
Rachel, yeah. She's on track 3, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Track 4, Silence is Golden, the ballad.
Mm-hmm.
And Devil You Know as well, the little rock and roll thing. So Rachel's been jumping up and doing more stuff recently, BVs, which has been great. So our kids are finally old enough that we can both go out at the same time.
Yes.
So she is finally getting to gigs again, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
And we recorded those BVs during COVID.
Oh.
We recorded Devil You Know in the kitchen on the laptop.
There you go. Wow.
You might be able to hear the dishwasher cycle finishing in the background at one point,
but that's all part of the charm anyway,
There's rustic charm.
Yeah.
So that's been great.
Now, is she a professional singer?
She hasn't done it professionally, but she's always sung. And so she did some BVs on the first album as well. But she's always been a great singer and always loved her music. So it's been great to actually have her involved.
Fantastic. Now, where can people purchase your music from?
They can buy the albums through my website, which is pjobrianblues.com.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can, if you do online streaming, I think you can get it through Apple Music or pretty much most of the platforms, I think, except for Spotify. It's not on there.
Yep.
Otherwise, if you're after a CD, it's just through me.
Yeah, I think buying the CD and having it, like, as I said, we play your albums or your CDs as we're driving along across the country, and it's just, puts you in a really good mood, I can tell you. Really good mood.
Oh, good. Well, I think the car is where most CDs get played these days. I think that's, I sell a lot of CDs to people who are like, well, we don't have a player, but it gets played in the car, and that's where I do most of my listening as well.
Yeah, I think because you have that time, and of course because we travel so much, so it's just like, make sure you grab PJ's CDs, Yeah, which reminds me, we have to replace one as well. I think we've lost one, so we need to buy another one from you.
I'd hazard a guess and say down between the console and the seat. That's where mine always end up.
That's a good idea. I'll have a look at that. Now, we do have another track here from you, and it's called High Cost. Would you like to tell the listeners a little bit about High Cost and how it came about?
Well, this was another one where it's kind of got a sort of standard sounding blues riff, I guess, in the verses. That's a pretty common sort of feel. But then I came up with a sort of double time soul type chorus. I was kind of thinking of Stevie Wonder when I came up with that chorus. So again, it's just that mix of, we're trying to give blues a little commercial edge, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just about the current climate out there, I guess. Everyone's feeling the pinch, and it was a song about that.
Yeah, definitely. Now, let's just talk about that half a sec before we listen to High Cost. How do you find, I don't know quite how to put it, getting paid as a musician? Is it what would you expect to get paid, or is it less than what you expect to get paid, or has it changed from when you first started?
No, I think it's probably one of the only industries where the money has stayed the same in 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
But having said that, it depends who you're working for, I guess, and where you are in the city. If you're sort of out of town a little bit, money seems to go up. And but I find the inner city, the money's pretty low, I guess, because smaller venues and they're just not generating enough money to pay more. But yeah, it's tough for all musos, isn't it? In the arts in general, I think it's something that everybody loves and needs so much, but it's kind of an afterthought when it comes to money. Often, I think
from the government, I totally agree with you there. Do you? Sorry,
I was just going to say, I think when you look at Melbourne, which realises how much entertainment brings to the state and how much money it generates, and they definitely look after their artists a bit more down there, I think. I think, but I'm no expert.
Do you feel as though the music, how it was pre-COVID, like heaps of gigs, for example, as compared to now, do you still feel as though we're not quite back to the number of gigs we were before COVID, or?
I think it's pretty much back to normal. I think there were probably a lot of places or previous venues that didn't make it through COVID, so maybe that's taken a few away. But I think there was definitely a bounce back up, like post-COVID, just in the general enthusiasm from venues and punters for live music again. I think it was people were just rapt to get out the door and watch a band again.
Absolutely, yeah.
I don't know if you found that as well.
Yes, we're inundated. We're busy every weekend playing, so
yeah,
I can't knock that at all.
Yeah,
not at all.
So yeah, I guess it was probably a good thing, just showing people not to take it for granted, I guess.
Yeah. All right, so let's listen to High Cost.
Should have known it, I'd never get far. Putting my eggs in the wrong basket, playing this blues guitar. The good life sure got mean. The more I give, the less I get. Makes me wanna scream. The high cost of living, it gets me down. Trying, but I can't get off that merry-go-round. High cost of living, there's just no way. Chasing my tail round and round as the bills get higher and higher. People, I sure got the blues. Working all day for a handful of money like I'm born to lose. The high cost of living, it gets me down. Crying, but I can't get off that merry-go-round. The high cost of living, there's just no way. The high cost of living, it just don't pay.
Once again, another stellar track from you, PJ.
Oh, thank you.
Very welcome. And I look forward to more of your music being produced. Now, tell us a little bit about who produces or how you put your albums out.
Well, the first two were recorded at A-Sharp Studios in Riverwood here in Sydney with Jeff Cripps. He played drums on both of them as well, and he was a producer. So we worked together to produce those. And I would sort of go to him and say, this is how much money I can spend. And he would just make sure it came out on budget.
Mm-hmm.
So they were recorded pretty quickly. This last one was recorded with George Brugmans at his home studio in Milpera.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a drummer as well. So that was recorded during COVID. So it was just he and I kind of building the songs in the studio. And he plays on, I think, about 7 of the tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Six of the tracks, I think. And so we just kind of produced it together, where he would kind of, I'd say what I wanted, and then he would explain whether it was possible or not.
Yeah.
And so that was different. That was more kind of we took a lot more time to do it, mainly because we couldn't get together all the time. It was like one night a week,
Mm-hmm.
all through COVID, and so it was kind of good in a way. In other ways, it kind of took longer than I would have liked, just for the freshness kind of thing. It just kind of, I think we both felt it took a bit too long.
Yeah, which couldn't be helped. So,
No.
so I take it that you used COVID in a very productive way of getting some music together and organising yourself for an album to be done.
Yeah, and it was kind of every Wednesday night, and usually I couldn't get over to his place until sort of 8 or 9, and we'd work for a couple of hours, and which was all good except for when I was recording vocals on a Wednesday night at 10 o'clock, and I listened back and I think, yeah, that sounds like a guy
Who's
singing
tired.
at 10 o'clock on a Wednesday.
But, your voice might be a bit lower and a bit more gravelly, or, and sometimes that's very appealing.
Yeah, I think it was the yawning mid-song that was might have let it down.
Oh dear. So now, PJ, do you go and see many live acts yourself?
Not as much as I want or should, really. I'm a pretty terrible punter. I love it, but usually, when it's time to go out, I sort of I'm on the couch and it's like, I'll do it next week. And but there's certainly so many bands that I want to go out and see, so I want to start making more of an effort to do that.
Yeah, it's hard. Sometimes we don't start till 9 p.m. and I'm just like, I need to have an afternoon nap before I do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's funny, isn't it? It's funny.
That's when that's when it's a job.
Yes. Now, so back in the day, maybe when you were younger at school or having left school and were working, did you go and see bands and acts then?
Yeah. I was definitely out a lot then.
And who was somebody that you really liked watching or liked going to see?
I used to love watching Dave Hole.
Mm-hmm.
That was just before he signed with Alligator Records and went overseas. So he was still playing in like little corner pubs then to nobody. And so that used to blow my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to watch a band called Videlli. I don't know if you've heard of them. Mike Videlli from WA.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I used to go watch them, and he's still around doing great things. So yeah, there was no shortage of bands to go see back then.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, when I first came to Sydney, I used to go watch Ray Beadle all the time, and I still do that when I can.
Yep.
And Darren Jack and Adam Pringle and all those guys were, they were just starting out then.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just these days, I guess having the family and it's a bit harder to get out, but it'll happen again.
Well, it will definitely. And you know what I can foresee, PJ, is that those 2 little girls of yours, one on the drums and one on bass, and you are taking them around to the different venues and getting them going in their careers.
Well, that would be something.
It would, wouldn't it? I can see that happening. How lucky are they to have a dad who, well, one is you, plays like you, and is such a great role model for them?
Well, it's very nice of you to say.
Well, I mean,
that's funny. They're big supporters. In fact, if I come home from a gig and I'm like, I sold 1 CD, They'd be like, "Dad sold a CD," like running up and down the hallway.
That's awesome. And that's another question actually. When you go and do a gig, do you have your merchandise there with you?
Yeah, well, like my pedal board being everywhere, the merch case is in a similar state.
Oh dear.
It's yeah, they just fall out of the case and they're sold off the floor. That seems to be the way it works.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah. So there's definitely work to be done.
Yeah.
With the stage setup.
Yeah. Oh no, I was only teasing you, PJ. Anybody who can get the sound that you can out of an inanimate object can have their pedals however they like them.
Okay.
But mind you, next time I come and see you, I might want to untangle your cords.
Yeah, feel free to so we can do a quick setup.
Just teasing you, PJ. All right then. Well, once again, thank you so much for taking the time out this evening to speak with me and to chat to me about everything that we have. I've thoroughly enjoyed talking to you.
I have too. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. And I hope to sit down with you again in the future and see you at a gig somewhere around the traps.
That would be great.
All right, PJ, I'll say good night for today. See you
Thanks,
later.
Crystal. All the best.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. And we've been chatting this evening to bluesman PJ O'Brien. We've come to the end of the show. I'm your hostess, Crystal, and you've been listening to Conversations with Crystal. Until next week, when I will bring you another fabulous guest, please stay safe, stay happy, stay cool, stay awesome, and most of all, stay tuned to this channel. Good night.